Welcome, everybody. We're going to do a short awareness practice today that is super relaxing and grounding. And if you feel scattered, if you have pelvis pain, low back pain, hip pain, this is really helpful for that. And it's also helpful for walking as a nice little warm up. So it's also great if you have meditation practice and you want to do something as a warm up before you meditate. All right, so if you have a rock, great. If you don't have a rock, you're just going to do this without the rock and it works great too. But if you have a rock, you put that in your right hand, left hand underneath the rock. All right, and tap your heels a little bit. Your feet should be, you don't see it in this, but your feet should be right below the knee, the heel below your knee. So there's this nice kind of tabletop feeling of your legs on top of the knee, which is right above your heel. All right, and now you can close your eyes if you like and take a breath in, inhale. And exhale. As you exhale, let your shoulders drop a little bit and feel the weight of the rock. Let your legs relax a little. They might open slightly. And the weight is going to settle into the pelvis, all right? So the pelvis is much like a bowl, and we want to, as we breathe in, hold the breath for a moment, exhale, and really let your shoulders drop and the weight drop. And that rock is like a tool to feel the weight coming into your sitting bones, right? So this is a 3-count practice. So you're going to inhale one more time. You can hold the breath just for a moment and then exhale and let everything settle, kind of like a leaf falling to the ground or just something settling into the pelvis. And take a while now to let the pelvis settle a little more. And if you meditate, this is such a simple warm-up to really settle yourself into a place of stillness so that we get more from the meditation, or if you just need to settle down for a minute, this will help you practice in 3 breaths, settling a little deeper and deeper. And now tap one heel a couple times and then the other heel a couple times, just to feel your feet. You can wiggle your toes a little bit to lift the toes, as I've been reminded lately how powerful that is. And then resting even more. All right, so that takes about a minute to do, and how simple that is to do. You can do that throughout your day and use it anytime to settle your nervous system. So now we're going to do a short practice lying on your back, and you can either use the rock or you're going to use your hand if you don't have a rock. So let's lie on your back, and I'm using my Feldenkrais table today, so I'm going to put a little sticky mat so my socks don't slip. And this is just one of these little things you sometimes see in people's kitchens or underneath rugs. It's just a little sticky mat. All right. Now, if you want to use the rock, we're going to use the rock on top of one of the hips. So I'll start with my right hip. The right side will have the rock, and my left hand is going to slide under the left butt at the top of my butt. Now, if that's hard for you to do, you can take like a balled up sock and just stick it under there, yeah? But if it's comfortable, you can put the palm of your hand face down on the table or floor. I'm on a table, but on the floor, and the rock is on the right hip, okay? If you don't have a rock, you can just use your fist, that you can pound it a little bit on top of your right hip, all right? So there's the rock. I don't have to pound the rock because it weighs something. And then your left hand is at the top underneath your left hip. And you're going to move from the rock to the left hand, or from your right hip to your left hand with your pelvis, tilting your pelvis. It's like a sundial. And then move your left hand a little lower down on your butt and move from your left hand to the right hip. So you're moving the pelvis, you're tilting it, and it's not a big movement. And then slide your hand a little further down and move from the rock to the hand. So it's a target practice type of thing. And then come back up with your hand again in the middle of your butt, on the side of your butt, so that you feel the edge of your sacrum with your hand. And that might be difficult for you to feel at first, and it depends again on how much tissue you have, etc. But to feel your hands on the left side and then rocking from the right hip to the hand. Okay, let's rest, take away your hands, and if you like, you can lengthen your legs. If you have had some pain with sitting, this is so great to help your pelvis find neutral again. Roll your head. Is there a difference in the way the heels are contacting the backs of the heels? All right, let's bend your knees again. So you're going to have either your fist or the rock on the left hip. Take your hand again at the top underneath your right hip bone and roll onto your hand. And now you're going to roll up and down with your pelvis on your hand. All right. And then roll to the side toward your left hip. Move your right hand a little lower and roll onto it, and then roll up and down on your hand for a moment, and then roll to the left hip. And then take your right hand lower, roll to the right, and roll up and down on that part of the pelvis, and over to the left again. And then move your hand up again a little bit, roll your pelvis across, roll your pelvis up and down, and then rolling across. And now rolling up higher, put your hand up higher on the right hip and roll up and down on your hand there. And then roll across. All right, and take away your hand now. Rest both hands and feel the contact now. Notice the difference. Is it much more open than it was a few minutes ago? No? This is very quick. Now you could stop here, but it's really nice to make what I call an integrated movement. And so right now, let's bend your knees and let's make an integrated movement. So you can do this two ways. You can take both of your fists and just pound a little bit on either hip, like alternate pounding. Yeah. And then stop that and then tilt your pelvis to the left so you can feel your left hip, the weight going into the left hip. And then with the right hand on top of your right hip, make a circle around the left hip area that's touching the table. Make a circle with your fist on your left hip, but feeling with the left hand on top of your left hip, you can feel that connection. Reverse the circle, okay? Reverse the circle of the right hip. And now go straight across from left to right. Bang on your right hip with your right hand on top of your hip. And now make a circle with your left hip. Make a circle with your left hip. Your left knee will move in a circle as well. And then reverse the circle of the left hip. If you want, you could every now and then stop and bang your right hip if you're not feeling these connections between the left hip and the right hip. You can stop and bang your right hip and then continue making a circle. All right. And then let's just go side to side, pressing one hip down and the other hip down with your fists on top of your hip bones. And then let's rest, lengthen your legs, lengthen your arms. And you can slide one foot down and the other. And is that easier to slide your legs now up and down on the floor, even rolling them in and out? And then let's slowly roll to your side, and we're going to come up to sit. Take your time to come up to sitting. And then let's go ahead and stand and see how it feels to stand now and how your pelvis feels in standing. You put one hand flat on top of your head if you like and walk around, but notice how your pelvis is moving. Does it feel more even in your stepping, you know? Does your pelvis feel freer? Okay, so that's our little warm up, and thank you so much, and see how that is. Let me know, leave a comment, let me know how that feels, and try this a few times before you move on to a different lesson. It's nice to repeat a lesson a couple times. Let me know how that is for you, and thank you again for subscribing, and special thanks to all my Patreon supporters that help in making some of these free videos for everyone to enjoy. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you next lesson.